Ancient Makkah. Obeying the command of Allah, Prophet Ibrahim brought his wife Hagar and their son Ismail to a valley called Bakka in the Arabian Peninsula. This was a special place, as it was where Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, had built a house of Allah many years before. However, when they reached it, there was nothing but desert. No people, no plants to eat, and no water to drink. Regardless, Prophet Ibrahim obeyed Allah's command and left his wife and son there. He prayed to Allah, "O Lord, indeed I have settled a part of my family in a valley without plants near your sacred house, so that they may establish prayer. So, make the hearts of some people love them and provide them with fruits, so they may be thankful." Allah answered Prophet Ibrahim's prayer. The Zamzam, a spring of fresh water, miraculously gushed forth. People came and settled there. Eventually, it became a community. As time passed, Prophet Ibrahim's son grew up to be Prophet Ismail, peace be upon him. The community also grew. Prophet Ibrahim would visit every so often. He would continue to pray to Allah, "My Lord, make this city safe and keep me and my children away from worshipping the idols." And, "My Lord, make this a safe city and feed its people with fruits, those who believe in God and the last day." Allah answered his prayers. The community became known as Makkah. Prophet Ibrahim and Prophet Ismail rebuilt the Kaaba. Then Prophet Ibrahim called the people to perform pilgrimage to it. He taught them how to dress clean and simple, to leave their belongings and worries behind, and to travel to the house of Allah to focus on praying to Allah alone. Thus, Prophet Ibrahim had successfully established a community of believers in Makkah that followed his example and teachings for generations, worshipping the one God, Allah. Mecca in the Middle Ages. Centuries passed, and Mecca became a place of pilgrimage, as well as a marketplace for trade. During a tribal fight, one family covered the Zamzam spring before moving away. Over the generations, the people of Mecca forgot where it was. The Quraysh became the most respected tribe in the Arabian Peninsula because they were in charge of the Kaaba and of hosting the pilgrims that came to it. They would feed the pilgrims food and beverages made of honey, dates, or raisins. They were merchants, trading for their livelihood. In the winter, they would journey south to Yemen, and in the summer, they would journey north to Syria for trade. They would travel in groups with camels, called caravans. The people of Mecca learned a lot from their travels. They brought back goods and ideas from many other places. In fact, the Arabian Peninsula was the center of the Old World trading routes. Looking at the map, one can see that it is in between Africa, Europe, and Asia. Also, it's a peninsula, so it's surrounded by the sea on three sides: the Red Sea and Sinai to the west, the Arabian Gulf to the east, and the Arabian Sea, which joins the Indian Ocean to the south. So, some towns on the coast would trade by boat. Many traders came to Mecca for the pilgrimage to the Kaaba. As a result, the Meccans enjoyed a rich blend of trade, culture, religion, and art. Over time, the Quraysh began to see the arrival of pilgrims more and more as an opportunity to set up market for trade. They forgot about worshipping Allah alone. They kept hundreds of idols, images or statues in the Kaaba for pilgrims to worship. Eventually, only a small group of people, called the Hunafa, followed the teachings of Prophet Ibrahim. The Meccans had lost their way and needed guidance. Events leading up to Muhammad's birth. It was from among the Quraysh tribe in Mecca that God chose to send the last messenger to mankind. The messenger would be a descendant of Prophet Ibrahim and Prophet Ismail, peace be upon them both. And he would bring the same message that all the previous prophets brought: worship the one God. Perhaps there were telling signs that the last prophet was about to arrive. Some Christians and Jews expected a prophet based on their scriptures. Also, strange events seemed to be happening. One night, the Quraysh leader, Abdul Muttalib, had a dream. In it, he was shown where to dig to find the long-lost Zamzam well. The next day, he started digging in that exact place, next to the Kaaba. The people of Mecca thought he was crazy, thinking he could find water in such a dry place. Determined, he kept on digging. To everyone's amazement, the Zamzam spring once more began to flow. What could this mean? Then, the Abyssinian leader, Abraha, marched to Mecca with thousands of men and elephants. They were intent on destroying the Kaaba. However, when they reached the valley of Mecca, the lead elephant refused to go on. Miraculously, a flock of birds flew overhead, dropping stones on the soldiers. They all dropped dead, looking like mashed corn. Allah had saved the Kaaba. And then there was the dream that Aminah had. Aminah had married Abdullah, the son of Abdul Muttalib, the Quraysh leader. They were expecting a baby. Unfortunately, Abdullah died before the baby was born. However, Aminah had an amazing dream during her pregnancy. She explained to her slave and close companion, "O Barakah, I have seen a strange dream. I saw a light shining from me, which lit up the mountains, the hills, and the valleys around Mecca." Barakah accurately predicted, "You will give birth to a blessed child who will bring you goodness." They called it the Year of the Elephant, but it turned out to be much more. Muhammad is born. It was during the Year of the Elephant that Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born. It was a beautiful morning in the spring. It was sometime during the month of Rabi al-Awwal, or April, in the year 571 CE. When Abdul Muttalib heard the news of his grandson's birth, he took the newborn baby to the Kaaba and invoked Allah's blessings and gave thanks. Believing the baby would grow up to be highly praised, he named him Muhammad, which means he who is praised. In keeping with the Arab tradition, he then shaved the baby's hair, circumcised him on the 7th day, and invited Meccans for a feast. Muhammad was first nursed by his mother, Amina. Then he was nursed by Baraka, the Abyssinian slave who had been close to Amina. Baraka became like a second mother to Muhammad, helping care for him. It was the custom for the people of Mecca to send their babies away to live with the Bedouin family. They believed children who were raised in the desert countryside grew up strong, healthy, and speaking a pure form of Arabic. So, soon after he was born, Abdul Muttalib began searching for a Bedouin family that would raise Muhammad for his first years. Finding a Bedouin family. Soon after Muhammad was born, some Bedouin women arrived in Mecca looking to foster children. They were hoping to foster children who had wealthy fathers so that they may be rewarded with gifts. Abdul Muttalib asked each one of them to take his grandson, Muhammad. Unfortunately, when the women found out that Muhammad was fatherless, no one wanted him. Halima bint Abi Duaib and her husband, Harith bin Abdul Uzza, were also hoping to foster a child. It was a year of drought and famine, so they had nothing to eat. They arrived late because Halima's donkey was tired and slow. They also had a she-camel for milk, but she was unable to give even one drop. By the time they arrived in Mecca, all of the available children were taken, except Muhammad. Halima said to Harith, "By Allah, I wouldn't like to return without a baby. I should go to that orphan and take him." Harith replied, "There is no harm in doing so, and perhaps Allah might bless us through him." Halima and Harith found their lives changed the moment they took Muhammad home. When Harith tried to milk the camel, there was plenty, and they drank to their fill. On the way home, Halima's donkey was suddenly the fastest, leaving the caravan behind. Grass began to grow around their home. Their goats fattened up and gave plenty of milk. Muhammad was indeed a blessing for their family. An unusual child. Muhammad, peace be upon him, lived with Halima's family for 4 years. Every 6 months, Halima would bring him back to his mother. Each time, Halima would beg to keep him longer. He brought so many blessings to her family. One day, when Muhammad was 4 years old, he was outside playing with the other children. The angel Gabriel appeared and made Muhammad lie down. He then opened up Muhammad's chest, took out his heart, and from it took a lump of flesh. He said, "This is the portion of Satan in you." Then he placed Muhammad's heart in a golden tray filled with Zamzam water and washed it. Finally, he put the heart back into Muhammad's chest. Terrified, the other children ran to Halima, crying that Muhammad had been killed. When they all returned to Muhammad, they found him alive but pale-faced and shocked. Afraid for his life, Halima returned Muhammad to his mother for good. When Muhammad was 6 years old, his mother, Amina, decided to take him to visit her family and his father's grave in Yathrib. As usual, Baraka accompanied them. After spending a month in Yathrib, they began their long journey back to Mecca. On the way, Amina became sick. She died at Abwa and was buried there. Baraka took Muhammad back to Mecca to live with his grandfather. Abdul Muttalib loved Muhammad so much that he allowed him to sit on his carpet next to him, something no one else was allowed to do, even his own children. He used to stroke Muhammad's back and watch him carefully. However, Abdul Muttalib was growing old. He died when Muhammad was 8 years old. Abdul Muttalib's son, Abu Talib, then took Muhammad under his care. Abu Talib and Muhammad's father, Abdullah, were brothers. So, Abu Talib was Muhammad's uncle. He loved and took care of Muhammad as if he was his own son. Orphaned at birth, losing his mother at age 6 and his grandfather at age 8, Muhammad experienced sadness from a very young age, which made him compassionate towards others. Growing up in the desert with a Bedouin family, he learned eloquent Arabic and a strong connection to nature. As a child, he remained sheltered from evil. Although idol worship was rampant in Mecca, he never engaged in it. He also avoided festivals, feasts, or weddings where people drank alcohol and misbehaved. Only once did Muhammad try to attend a wedding out of curiosity. On the way, he suddenly felt very tired, laid down and fell asleep. Waking up the next morning to the hot sun, he realized he never made it there. It is clear, through Muhammad's childhood, Allah was protecting him and preparing him for the great task that he would have to carry out many years later. Muhammad as a young man. Muhammad, peace be upon him, grew up to be a handsome young man who was very intelligent with beautiful speech. He was known for his honesty, patience, and kindness. Muhammad was particularly concerned about justice. He believed everyone should be treated fairly, whether rich or poor, strong or weak. He thought everyone should treat others fairly, even if they did not belong to the same tribe. Yet Mecca had become unjust. The rich and powerful would take advantage of the poor and weak. Tribes would break out into fights for the smallest reasons. One day, a man from Yemen came to Mecca to sell his goods. A powerful Meccan man, named A'as bin Wa'il, took all the man's goods and then refused to pay for them. The stranger tried to complain to various people in Mecca, but no one would listen to him because he was not a part of their tribe. In desperation, he climbed on top of a hill and made an announcement. He informed the town that all of his goods had been stolen. He insisted that they listen and help him. Finally, one Meccan, Zubayr bin Abdul Muttalib, volunteered to help the man. Zubayr called a meeting with representatives from the different tribes. Together, they made an agreement called Hilf al-Fudul, which would uphold justice in Mecca. They decided together that from then on, they would defend anyone who was treated unfairly, no matter what tribe the person belonged to. Then, they forced A'as bin Wa'il to pay for the goods that he had taken from the Yemeni man. Muhammad was extremely pleased to have witnessed such a noble agreement. He said it was more precious to him than a red camel, which was of high value at the time. As a young man, Muhammad had worked as a shepherd. Muhammad once said, "There has been no prophet who has not tended sheep." Learning how to herd animals, keeping them together and guiding them away from harm would be an important life lesson he would need later on in life when Allah put him to his great task. Marriage. Khadija bint Khuwaylid, a wealthy businesswoman, heard how honest and trustworthy Muhammad, peace be upon him, was, so she decided to hire him. She sent Muhammad with her slave, Seerah, to sell her goods in Syria. When they returned from the business trip, Khadija was pleasantly surprised. Muhammad had been extremely successful, making more money than usual. He was also honest, returning it all to her. When he spoke to her, she noticed how there seemed to be a light emanating from his handsome face. Later, Seerah told her about his journey with Muhammad. He said Muhammad was so well-mannered, sincere and honest, he was like no other man. Khadija had been married twice before. Both of her husbands had died. Since then, several Quraysh chiefs had proposed to her because she was from a good family, wealthy, beautiful, and wise. She had refused all of their proposals for marriage. Now, however, impressed by Seerah's description of Muhammad's character, she brought up the idea of marriage to her friend, Nafisa. Immediately, Nafisa went to Muhammad to ask him if he would like to marry Khadija. Muhammad agreed. He sent his uncles to her uncle in order to propose. Soon after, Muhammad and Khadija were married. On that day, Muhammad set free Barakah, who had been there from the time he was born as a faithful slave and second mother. On the same day, Khadija gifted Muhammad a young slave boy named Zayd. Zayd was proud of his family background. His father was from a great northern tribe between Syria and Iraq, and his mother was from the neighboring tribe of Tay. He had been captured by horsemen and sold into slavery while traveling with his mother. His father had tried searching for him, but could not find him. Now, Zayd was to live in the household of Muhammad and Khadija.